So yesterday we learned in the Dvar Malchut the words of royalty, the royal words that the Rebbe spoke in 1992 about how we can see in our generation a clear demonstration, a free sample of what Moshiach is going to do in the world. True, it was only a little sample, but nevertheless, it was pure. What happened? That Russia, that was the big enemy of Judaism, the big enemy of God, Russia, and basically the big enemy of mankind. They wanted to spread communism all over, and they instigated all these revolutions in all these different countries and things like that. Russia actually sat with America, and they had a whole series of meetings and decided that that's it. They're not going to make war anymore. They're not going to be enemies. There's not going to be any Cold War, no warm war. They're not going to make any more rockets, no more missiles, no more atomic bombs, no more this. And they're going to a certain degree, I think that's even working now. I don't think that they're developing their atomic bombs. Anyway, I don't know what's going on now, but for sure back then it was. And they made meetings, and they trusted each other, and they believed in each other. And where did they make the meetings? They made the meetings in New York, which is the place of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And when did they make these meetings? They made it in Parshas Mishpatim, which is talking about laws, godly laws, which are relevant to day-to-day life, the non-Jews also. And they made it in the month of Shvat, which that's the month of the previous Rebbe's passing away. And the Rebbe became more and more examples, the idea of world peace, and how there was world peace, and it was to spread charity and goodness in the world. So the Rebbe said all these things, amazing things, they all happen, and they're all signs of the redemption, and they're all beginning of the redemption. They're free taste of the redemption. There's going to be world peace and everything like that. But said the Rebbe, after everything, and we have the previous Rebbe, he's the Moshiach, and the Rebbe said that basically on himself, that he's the extension of the previous Rebbe. That happened in the city of the previous Rebbe in New York, where everything was wonderful. So, but after all, we see that the Moshiach, maybe Moshiach is here, but the redemption is definitely not here. When the redemption of the world comes, there won't be any more pain or suffering, and there's a lot of pain in the world. There's a lot of suffering in the world, and a lot of difficulties in the world, and it doesn't seem to be really getting, going away. I mean, maybe temporarily a little bit, but it's nothing like what it's supposed to be. We have not received the holy temple is supposed to come from heaven, and that's going to be the whole big, the big starting point of the redemption, right? According to Chassidut, according to the Gemara, according to this says the third temple is going to come from heaven. Anyway, third temple is going to come from heaven. There's opinions that say it's going to be made by man, and it's possible to make they say to to make peace between these two opinions. Is a better word. I can't think of it. And that you can put these two opinions together, how it is that, but nevertheless, the third temple is supposed to be here. When the third temple is here, that is what's going to draw the Jews to Israel, because they're all going to do the commandments. The Jews are going to want to do the commandments, and the only place you can do the commandments is when there's a holy temple in Israel. So that'll draw the Jews to Israel, and it hasn't happened. The Rebbe, why hasn't it happened? The Rebbe said, you want to know why it happened? I also want to know why. And the Rebbe said, doesn't make any sense. So, therefore, Mizeh movement, it's understood the tremendous necessity, the sort of hechrech, and the necessity and the urgency, the hosiv biyoter seit, to add on with more energy and more enthusiasm, biyeter oz, and more assertiveness, Beinyanim and makarvim, things that bring actually the future redemption. And it shouldn't be future. It should be immediately, now. Well, the call of Russian, first of all, what should we do? This week's Torah portion is called Mishpatim, laws. Mishpat, what does it mean? That we should learn the laws and do the laws between interpersonal, between one person and another, in a way of peace. Peshita shlilas hafcho, obviously it means to eliminate any arguments, hatred. Bittul sibat galut, that's the reason for the last exile that we're in. Right, the first exile, the Jewish people went, the first temple was destroyed. For 70 years, the Jewish people were in Babylon 7 years. What were the sins that the Jewish people did? It's not that they all did it, but there were very few that did it, but they went unpunished. It says there was murder, there was decadence, and there was idolatry. And because of this, the Jewish people went to exile for 70 years. The second temple was destroyed not because of those three things. Not because of those three things. There was something which was worse, hatred. People hated each other. People hated each other, and people hated each other in their hearts, which is the thing which is not revealed. So no one knew if anyone else was doing it particularly. And that exile has lasted now for almost 2,000 years. So these terrible sins were fixed up because they were revealed. But the sin of hatred, everybody says, I hated somebody else. Maybe he hates somebody else. Yeah, you want to find somebody who hates somebody else. Go to Shmerel. Shmerel, he hates everybody. I hate that guy. I can't stand him. You hate him? No, I don't mean, I just a slip of the tongue. Slip of the tongue, I don't really hate him. So it ended up that everybody hated everybody else. A little bit inside of your hearts, you're jealous of him, you're angry with them. Or at least hate one person, you got to hate somebody. So this has been going on for the last 2,000 years. By means of this, by eliminating this hatred, comes redemption. Now, how can you really not eliminate hatred? There could be really good reasons for hatred. Sometimes people do really bad things. So the way to eliminate it is to, usually when you hate somebody, it's because you don't see any good in them. You hate the person totally. If you know that a person, let's say there's a doctor and he stole money from you, he did bad things, but he heals people. He knows how to feel. So you don't hate him totally. You hate this side of him. Right? It's that side of it. There's some redeeming factor. So the Rebbe says in every Jew, there's some redeeming factor. And that is that they're a Jew. And the fact of the matter is in every human being, there's a redeeming factor. Every human being. They can change. All right, there's details we'll have to go into, but some people, according to the Torah, they have to be punished. But it doesn't mean you have to hate the person. You hate the bad thing that they did. If that bad thing totally conquers their personality, their whole being, then they have to be punished. Okay, and we'll go into that. But nevertheless, hating a person means you don't see any good in them. That by means of seeing some good in everybody, or at least believing there is good, by means of this Boa Gula comes the future redemption. Like the rabbis say, that because of justice, it says, Tzion nivnit, that the Jewish people, or Israel, or Jerusalem will be rebuilt. Shenemar, like it says, Tzion b'mishpat tepada, like it says, Tzion, the Jewish people, in justice, in the laws, will be redeemed. Ki tzedakah, because charity, it says, v'shaveh b'tzedakah, and it says that the prisoners of the Jewish people will be redeemed by charity, and gemilat chasadim, and also by means of charity and gemilat chasadim. So you have to have both. You have to have justice. You have to have limits, but it also has to be filled with love and kindness. Kamaforish, like it's explained in our Persian, in Kesef Talvei Etani, you have to loan money to people. It's a commandment to loan money to those who need it. Gedola Gemilas Chasadim, that loaning money is even greater than giving charity. How does that work out? Because if you loan money to someone and without interest, and you tell that person, whenever you can, pay me back. So the person feels more human. If you give him charity, excuse me, if you give that person charity, then the person feels a little bit like a worm, right? You get used to it. But still, on the other hand, you get used to it, but still you feel you're not really human. It's like, throwing a dog a bone a little bit. But he depends on you. But if you give a person a loan, it's sort of like your partners. The person believes in you. He says, pay me back whenever you can. Come over, like it's explained also in Baba Batra. Baba Batra is, we just talked about the three Babas. Baba Batra talking about the fixing up the exile. Wait, excuse me. These are the details in Baba Batra. It talks about the details of giving charity. And it says even more, great is giving charity that it makes the redemption come close. Like it says, Ko Amar Hashem, like it says, where does it say this? It says, so speaks God in Isaiah. It says, so says God. Shamu Mishpat, you should keep the law, but do charity. Ki karov Yeshuativ lavo, because my salvation will come quickly. There's two ways of looking at this. My salvation means the salvation that will come from God, or that God himself is in exile, and God also wants to be saved. But Tzidkati Lord Galos, it says that when the Jewish people have pain, that God has pain. When the Jewish people want to go into exile, it says that God goes into exile. Galol the Babel Shechina, Galol the Edom Shechina Imahim, it says. It begins, first of all, like it is every year, that on Motzi Shabbos Kodesh, that we give of this week's Torah portion, Nerach Malava Malka, there'll be a big meal. The Rebbe is speaking on Shabbat, so he says when Shabbat goes out on this week's Torah portion, Pashim Matpatim, there's a charity. What is it? The charity society. How do they call it? Gamil Chasadim. There's a Karen Gamil Chasadim. There is a what is it? The general. How do you say it in English? The general charity box in Crown Heights, and that people come and they borrow money. You borrow money, and people donate money to this Karen. They donate money to this. Wow, how can it be today? Something words that were skipping my mind. They make a big, how do you say, what's going on? A big bank, in any case, that people just take charity from. Gemilat Chasadim, the charity society. So people come and they give tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for this charity society, and then in the course of the year, people come and they borrow money from it. A lot of them don't pay it back. The Rebbe said that's a good thing. It says if you've had a lot of money in your charity account, then it's not good. It's not good. You have to give out loans. And because that it's permissible to deal with communal matters on Shabbat, Kedaiva Nachon, it is good that it should be Yalev Yachris, that the one who organizes this this charity, the communal charity, should stand up now and announce on this Malava Molka. Someone would stand up. Usually they would put a shtreimel on, and they would announce that there was Ubavade Tarich Barov Pe'er V'Hadar. There should be a lot of people come there, and the Yidnu Kafi Nidvas Lebo, and everyone should give generously to this this charity box or charity, whatever, bank. And the main thing is that the decision should be immediately, should bring the giving should bring the reward. And what's the reward for giving charity? The future redemption. Take of a miyad mamash. It should be immediate now. As then there will be a real malava malka, a real suda, a real meal after Shabbat. What will be the meal? the meal of King David, Malchut Mashiach. There's a custom in Judaism that after Shabbat you make a little meal or a big meal, not as big as the meal of Shabbat, and it's called the meal of King David. Why? Because King David was informed by God that he was going to die on Shabbat. And every Shabbat that he lived, that he was left living, so he made a meal, a Thanksgiving meal to God. So therefore, we call this meal the meal of King David. Meal of King David. Vishtatfuto, and hopefully this Shabbat should be a meal, and there should be also that even the previous Rebbe should be there also. He should be there. And where should be the meal? It should be in the Holy Land, in Jerusalem, with the third temple. And like it says in the beginning of the tractate of Baba Batra, Shutfim Shirotzu, it says partners that want, partners that mutually desire that each one takes his portion of the land, to divide up the land. That the relationship between people should be shtei shutfim, that everybody should feel that they are partners with everybody else. That every person wants the benefit of his partner. How much more so that how much more so that you should announce by there should be unity among the non-Jews. That there should be partnership between them. That ideal was supposed to be what the United Nations was supposed to be. The United Nations was supposed to be unification of all the countries of the world for a common purpose. And really, it sort of did work. All of them worked together to hate Judaism and to hate Israel and to condemn Jewish people. They made unity, the unity between them. By means of this, they build a wall. That's in the beginning of Baba Batra. It talks about two partners that have a land and they want to divide it between them in a peaceful way. So they bring a wall. And it says, what should the wall be made of? It says, the Yesh, Loma, we should say, Sharomas al Binyan, that's talking about what wall? The walls of the Holy Temple. The Hemshech HaSugya, like it continues, it says, Guznis other the Mishveh. It says that if it's a place where the custom is to use bricks which are, let's say, 2 inches wide, then each person gives up 1 inch. If it's a custom where the bricks are 2.5 inches wide, if there's 3 inches wide, if they're a foot wide. So the different types of bricks. And the Ketiv, like it says, Kol Elu Avanim Yakorot committed Gazit, like it says by King Solomon when he made the first temple. Let's see. Right. When it talks about King Solomon when he made the temple, so it talks about the measurements of the first temple. It says it was made from bricks, and that's also how the tractate of Baba Batra, that also is how it begins, by making a wall of bricks. Two partners that want to have a peaceful division between them, so they make a clear line and they make a wall. Nimshach, we said, that comes from this unity. It's talking about the holy temple, the first temple, and the holy, and also the second temple. The Binyan Shani, it was the second, I'm sorry. And also to talking about this, it also talks about the quality of the second temple, that it was bigger in years and in place. It was, the second temple was bigger, the building was bigger, and it lasted 10 years longer. Like it says, great will be this last temple than the first one. This talks about the second temple, but it also talks about mainly the third temple. Like it's explained in the Zohar. And in continuation with this, there's also the teaching from the beginning of Parshat Truma. That's next week's Torah portion. You finish this week's Torah portion, and it begins talking about how the Jewish people made the tabernacle in the desert. It was like almost 1 year after the Jews got out of Egypt, they received the Torah as they built the tabernacle. The tabernacle was finished like 2 weeks before the first anniversary of going out of Egypt. The tabernacle. And next week portion, and the portion after that, it talks about the building of the ingredients, the component parts of the building of the tabernacle. And we read about this Shabbat, but at Mincha, the end of Shabbat. Make me a holy place, and I will dwell within you. This begins from the individual holy temple in every single Jew. And it doesn't say inside of it, but inside of them, inside of each and every Jew. The libo panimi, inside of you, inside of your heart, but beito b'chadro, in your house, in your room, that your whole house should be a place of Torah and prayer, not just spiritually, but physically. Your physical house should be a place. That's why you put mezuzahs on your door. The Rebbe said also that every room should have a charity box in it. And it's good if the charity box should be affixed to the wall, so it's part of your building. Kolel, and especially you should participate in the building and increasing the size of the synagogues and places of learning, kesef, silver, gold, copper, and by means of this, you hurry up and speed up the building of the third temple immediately. So in other words, what is the Rebbe saying? The whole purpose of all these speeches and all these talking and all these doing and all these thoughts and everything like this is to have the third temple built by means of Mashiach, and the Jewish people will come back to Israel. We want results. Learning Torah and doing the commandments, and that's wonderful. That's, of course, it's wonderful. But the result of all this is when Mashiach comes, and all the Jews will be doing the commandments, and all the Jews will be learning Torah, and all the Jews will be together in the land of Israel. And the way that we have to do that is to do everything we can to facilitate and to speed up it happening. But it has to happen. The third temple with all the Jews there. So the Rebbe said one of the best ways of doing it is learning the Torah, but giving charity. Giving charity. Says the Rebbe that especially there's a special power to do that now. Why now? Says the Rebbe, in addition to the fact that we're in the month of Shvat, which is the 11th month of the year, we're also coming now into the 25th day of the month, which I think that's going to be the Shabbat, right? The Shabbat is the 25th day of the month. Let me have a look at my calendar. 1 second. 1 minute. Okay, yeah. No. Oh, I see. What is this going to be? This Shabbat is the 27th day of the month. So let's have a look at what's going on over here. Okay. I got something wrong with my knee over here. Okay, ready? So it says, oh, I see. No. I get it. The fact is back then it was just like now. The Rebbe is speaking on the 27th day of the month. The Rebbe said, but we are coming from the 25th day of the month. The 25th day of the month, that was Thursday. That it is ko tavorech tavorchu et Misrael. So you should bless the Jewish people. That's the blessing of the Kohanim, that they should bless the people with love. That's kaf hey. And similarly, also the blessing of the Kohanim, the priestly blessing, which every Jew should bless every other Jew. Atem to you li mamlechas Kohanim, because the Jewish people are a nation of priests. That's what God says. We're here to bring blessing to the world. When do we bless everybody, every Jew? In the beginning of every day, after we make the blessing of the Torah, you're supposed to say, with a feeling of loving every Jew, the blessing of the Kohanim. If you look in the Jewish, you have to get a Jewish siddur to see this, but the blessing of the Kohanim contains, 15 words? Yivrech Hashem v'yishmerech, and the Kohanim say it, but you can also say it every day. You can bless every Jew. That every single Jew says, behold, I, Hareini, Makabel, I accept on myself the positive commandment of loving every Jew like myself. Now you can ask yourself a question, why every Jew? And the answer is because that's the hardest thing to do, to love another Jew. To love a non-Jew is not as hard. Jewish people are all different and they're all difficult. Number one. Number two, love begins at home. If you don't love your brother, then you're not going to be able to love anybody else. Like the Alter Rebbe says, Hashav l'kol nefesh, which of the Rebbe's, the Siddur of Chabad is something which is relevant to every single Jew. If you don't know what a prayer book you should pray from, Ashkenaz, Sfarad, this, you can pray from a Chabad one. That includes everything. And even more, the blessing of the Kohanim includes in it all of the blessings and complete. God should bless you. He should keep you. He should keep your family, your house, your health. Says that the blessing of the Kohanim has the advantage of both blessing and of prayer. What's the difference between blessing and prayer? What's the difference between blessing? Blessing, it brings down something that's already waiting for you. And prayer can change the upper worlds and bring down things that aren't waiting for you. The big difference between them is that the blessing is almost certain. It'll happen. And prayer, you don't know if it's going to happen or not, because there's a lot of impediments in the spiritual worlds that can stop. God answers all prayers. He listens all, but not always the way you want and not always when you want. And sometimes also a person's does things to make it impossible for him to receive the blessing. You didn't make a vessel for the blessing, that's not the case for the blessing of the Kohanim. The blessing of the Kohanim, it says, always comes. That's what it says. A blessing, but I'm sorry, a blessing in general. If a person knows how to bless somebody else, then the blessings always come to be. But the blessing of the Kohanim, it says it has both. It both is a blessing, which means it's sure, and also it has the advantage of prayer, which means it can bring down things which you might not even deserve. The blessing that includes in it also the thing of a blessing and also of prayer. Well, and especially the main blessing that we're waiting for, and that's the blessing of the future redemption completely, immediately, now. Well, after this, that was on Thursday, was 25th. That's Kot Tvorchu. After that, Friday, that was Kavav, God, the numerical value of God's name, 26. Like we said before, that this is attached to doing the commandments. Kot Tvorchu et ben Israel, by means of the Kohanim. The blessing of the Kohanim was, what did they do? When the Kohanim used to bless in the Holy Temple, they used to use God's name. Shema Mefurash. They used to say God's name. They would say it. Now we don't say it. When we pray now, it's written Yud and then Hey, and we don't say Yud Hey. We say Adon. In the Holy Temple, they used to say God's name, which is not the case in the time of exile. And the preparation for this is by means of the service of the Jewish people, that the Jewish people are called a nation of priests in a way that God put God in front of me always. And also in the time of exile, that by means of this, we say the blessings of the Kohanim. This hurries up and speeds up the fact that the name of God will be revealed in the whole world by means of the Kohanim revealing it in the Holy Temple. Like it says, the same way that I written God's name with the Yud and the name, so I will be said. So we have the Thursday was the 25th. That's Kot Tvorchu. That's the blessing of the Kohanim. Friday, that was the 26th day of the month of Shvat. That's God's name. After that, on Shabbat, that is the 27th. That's what's going to be this year also. On the 27th, that's Shemen Zayit Zach. That corresponds to pure oil. Zach is the numerical value of 27. And that, in order to light the lights of the temple constantly, menorah zahav tahor, miksha achad, like the menorah that was in the holy temple was with this pure oil. This is talking about unity of all of the Jewish people, all the different types of Jewish people, but that's like the 7 types of the menorah. And after that, we have The 28th, that's going to be Sunday. That's koach, power. Power in everything that there is. So what's the Rebbe saying? From the dates of the month, we can draw power and blessing from God. The dates of the month, the 26th, 5th day of the month, the 26th day, the 27th, 28th, that they're indicating God wanting to give us and giving us power and blessing and peace. And after that is Erev Rosh Chodesh, is going to be the beginning of the next month. That this is the preparation for the new month, which is when the moon becomes new. The moon was hidden, like the Jewish people, is hidden, concealed right before the first day of the month. This shows that the Jewish people will become renewed. It says the Jewish people are going to become renewed just like God. Just like the moon, Kamota, like the moon. But also there'll be a big revelation of God. That's the purpose. That's what it means that the Jewish people will be renewed. That will be the future redemption and a complete redemption. What does it mean, the complete redemption? It means that the world will be healthy. It'll be filled with godliness, with life, with health, with meaning, blessing. And especially Rosh Chodesh, that it falls this year, for the beginning of the month of Adar, next month falls on Tuesday, Shlishi, the third day of the week, which the third day of the week when God created the world, and it says he said it was good twice. On the first day, God saw the light that was good, and the second day, God didn't say it was good because God made division. The third day of creation says that God said it was good. God made a firmament. This is I'm sorry. On the third day, it said 2 times it was good. It was good. What is the ultimate good? The ultimate good is the future redemption, and especially the double good. This means especially that double is always connected to the future redemption. Double. It says that there's 5 double letters in the Torah, and that these letters all are found in sentences relating to the future redemption. Hadgasha, and especially Rosh Chodesh Adar. Next month is the month of Adar. That says that Adar is a month that is a lucky month for the Jewish people. Bari Mazle. It's a spiritually, how do you say, healthy month for the Jews. Because the month that was transformed bad and misery, Haman wanted to destroy all the Jews, it became transformed to joy. The joy of the redemption of Purim. And Mismach Gula Lagula, and the redemption of Purim is right next to the redemption of Passover, Pesach. And Pesach really hints at the future redemption. Like it says, the prophet Micha says, just like the days of you going out of Egypt, I will show you big miracles. It'll be the miracle of Purim when bad turned to be good. That good will turn to be even a greater type of good. The Gula Mitit Veshlema, the complete total redemption, which will come now, even before the redemption of Purim. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. We don't have very much to go, but we'll talk about this, God willing, tomorrow, and then we'll continue with something else. Let's see what. Yes, okay, good. Is that right? We did this, we did this. Listen, we've got almost nothing to do. Nothing more. Let's do it. Okay, let's go. Go on. Well, the whole sefer to add on, even though that we're adding redemption to redemption, this is talking about Adar Sheni, which is near Nisan, from the language of the Mishnah. Ein bein Adar Rishon Adar Sheni ela kriyat Megillah matanot levyanim. It's mashma. There's years when there's a double. You know what? Just give me 1 minute over here. 1 second. No. I have to do this. Excuse me 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I think we will do this tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. We'll do it tomorrow. Let's now do the Yom Yom. We'll do the Yom Yom. Once again, I got to go like this.